That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. Abraham Lincoln.
I use that quote from Abraham Lincoln to talk about how I have seen, as I talked about math, kids selling themselves short or in their talent level and what they're capable of. Now we've gone from pure virtual to a hybrid type situation in our classes. One of the young men I'm teaching is one of these rare kids that has happened that mathematically ability he's beyond what I've learned. I'm very good at teaching math, but as far as my math ability, it stops at what's called derivative calculus, which is the first part of calculus, and I can teach that. Then you get into integral calculus, which if I wanted to, I stopped there. But if I really wanted to push it, I probably could, but I got a lot of things to do. But he's already past that point, and he's a senior, and he's talking about becoming an engineer. And then he was showing me some stuff he's doing in a 3D printing class of making an airplane. And I was kind of like, wow, this kid's got it together. But he's a Latino kid. But he said he had his brother that's an engineer that's working in the field. So I asked myself, then why is it that's not celebrated? To say that this is what a young man, a young woman is capable of doing. Okay. And it goes back to, the three pillars. The champion, does not want them to know, or the so-called victims to know, that they have a way of achieving without using the champion. And a few years ago during Black History Month, I had a class and I had to take them to a presentation. There's this little side room where they do have presentations, and this lady was there talking about Black History Month and these famous black people that were successful, and all of them were either an athlete, an entertainer, or somebody in government. And I asked her, I says, what about Ursula Burns? And she says, I've heard the name, but it doesn't stick. And I'm like, wow, why not? Two people, Ursula Burns and Kenneth Frazier, I cannot understand why they're not celebrated. And I've asked myself this question. Ursula Burns for a while, years. Kenneth Frazier recently, maybe 2 years. Like, why aren't these two people well known? And the answers that I get every time I think about that are kind of disturbing. For those of you who don't know, Ursula Burns was at one time the CEO of Xerox, a major corporation. You had a black lady that was CEO of this major company. No one knows about her. Okay. Kenneth Frazier at the time of this recording is CEO of Merck. And a lot of you may not know the company Merck. Okay, you may not have heard of the company Merck. But you have heard of some of his products, namely Viagra. Merck is a major pharmaceutical company, probably one of the top in the country. And the CEO is a black man. And no one knows about this. And it gets to me, I'm thinking, is it the fact that there's so many people invested in having a victim mentality and to telling groups of people that they're victims, that they cannot achieve on their own, that any achievement on their own, any person that is in these groups that achieves on their own outside going through the route of the champion must be discounted because it will destroy the power of the champion. And that is a disturbing thought to think. A few years ago, I had to watch the movie on Dr. Ben Carson called Gifted Hands. Cuba Gooding Jr. played the doctor. And I've heard people call, Dr. Carson a sellout. I'm thinking, why? Shouldn't he be looked up to? I mean, here's a man who did a successful operation of conjoined twins. Okay, yeah, they were German parents, I think, that had twins that were attached at the head, and so he came up with a way to separate them and successfully separate these conjoined twins. And he's not celebrated for what he does, for his abilities, for where he came from. Do you think those parents that he contributed to have a better life care that he was a sellout? They were happy that he did what he did. I mean, he was raised by a single mom who made him read, and he became a successful surgeon. He had gifted hands. That was the name of the movie. And from my standpoint, I think how much talent is being wasted that could have great contribution to society by telling people they're victims so that a small group of champions can stay in power. Will the world be a better place if there were more Dr. Carsons as opposed to more entertainers or athletes? And I find it disturbing that this victim mentality that's going in, it's telling young people, or people in general, what they can't do because of circumstances of their birth. Now, there may be some, like say for me, okay, if based on my aptitude and ability, if I want to say, hey, I want to be a left tackle in the NFL, it's not there. Okay, I can understand that. Or if I want to be a chef, it's not there. I just don't have the desire to do this. Okay. There are things that I found that I do well, and I do that, and I'm in a place of peace. But how much talent is being wasted that could have great contributions to society, to whatever issues they are? Because the champions want to stay in power and keep the oppressed people oppressed, instead of telling them as a model, this is what is possible. Because we have had achievements. It is possible to be a CEO of a company. It is possible to be an engineer. Okay? It is possible to be a great surgeon. These are fields that are open. But if young people are constantly told that those are closed to them, they will close it off themselves in their minds. And I spend my life teaching kids what they can do instead of what they can't do. And this is something that, as a country, in order for us to thrive as a republic, we need not waste talent through any of our population. Each of us must seek to try to bring forth the talent that anybody has. We do not know what talent lies in a lot of these children that I see. Okay, I see this one kid, okay, as going to be an engineer. I see he's got his acting. I'm like, wow. And I've met a few of these young people. Okay, they're not white, and they just don't buy into this oppressor-oppressed dynamics. And they're going to go places. Okay? They're going to go places in life. And who knows what contributions they can make that can make life better for all of us. Because when a lot of these people are successful in areas outside of entertainment or athletics or even government, it makes life better for all of us. You think of all the contributions that has happened from people having ideas. The fact that I can sit here in a car with a camera and put something out that can reach almost anybody in the world was unheard of a couple decades ago. And it was through the talent of people, not in government, not athletes, and not entertainers, that made it possible. So I'm going to spend the rest of my life, for the most part, telling kids what they're capable of and trying to reach in and see their capabilities for themselves, or what it is they can do instead of what they can't. As that is the way of the champion, so the champion can stay in power. I want everybody to think about that. Till next time, God bless.